Gunners fire, Arsenal fires. Gunners ready to blow rivals out of the water in transfer market as they close in on Gyökeres deal. Quite the headline. We've heard that several times. Where is the man? As I always say, smash the like button, subscribe, get comfortable, get the creative juices flowing. Let me know your thoughts, people. But as we always say, obviously they won't be wearing this shirt, but until they're wearing Arsenal shirts, I grew up watching Omri and Bergkamp and this, that, and the third. It's just great talking points. We need to get deals over the line, people. Again, we'll have to see what this summer has in store. Arteta is keen to sign a striker early in the summer window. Great stuff, you know. There's got to be a correlation. I always think about when we get signings early. I know time has passed, but I remember, like, beyond the obvious of them being Premier League proven, experienced players, upgrades at the time. Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko, they were brought in relatively early. You could even extend that to a degree. I would say Declan Rice. You could say Kai Havertz. On the pitch, he struggled. I think he... Off the field, obviously, I'm not privy to it, but I think he, you know, became friends very quickly with people at the football club. Allegedly, Arsenal's determination to get deals done quickly this summer has left European rivals stunned, including Barcelona. Now, I know football's a small world and everybody indirectly knows who's talking to everyone, but what does it have to do with Barcelona? Bullish chat. We know that with Berta and all these guys, but can we just get the players over the line? Nonetheless, Sunsport understands that the speed at which the Gunners have been lining up and progressing with targets, talking to key figures in players' camps, has taken other clubs aback, who are now being forced to recalibrate and rethink their own transfer strategy. I mean, it sounds good. How much do you think that's PR? I don't know. We're expected to sign Zubimendi. We're still linked with Gyökeres. Benjamin Sesko apparently is also an Arsenal target. I would love both of the strikers. Maybe I'm greedy. I think there is scope for two strikers. Maybe a young projectee guy that needs a bit polishing like Gyökeres. And then, I mean, like is Sesko, and then you've got your Gyökeres. Other end of the scale, do you get a Gyökeres and you got Ollie Watkins who could be, you know, used and impact the squad for like 2 to 3 years? I don't think that's going to happen. But you know what? If we got two strikers, I'd still think we need a winger, but I would be like, all right, cool, don't go and get a left winger then. I'll be with that. And the only unpopular opinion, I think we need a striker. That is the one thing I want. Unpopular opinion, if we were to copy the Liverpool model, like Saka is our Salah, and you've got your Sadio Mane on the left, which is not Trossard and Martinelli, big them up, you've got that game changer. Then I think you still need a striker, but we could maneuver, if that makes sense, even though two strikers would be amazing. Barcelona are among several teams on the continent who have felt Arsenal's aggression and presence in the majority of their preparations. So we're going for the same targets. With sources close to those clubs telling Sunsport that they expect to be blown out of the water in comparison. Now, I will say this with the greatest of respect. There's no way of verifying any of this is true, and it sounds good. And unfortunately, us Arsenal fans, we're kind of used to talk like this. If I'm honest, I'm not saying it's wrong. Arsenal have often had a reputation for taking their time when doing their summer business, but they are hoping to change that with a window to remember. I hope so. One that could see them match the 200 million they spent in 2023. Careful, you know, Sky Sports said we've only got 100 million quid. Martin, definitely not Martinelli. Martin Zubimendi has practically been wrapped up since January with a 51 million deal for the Spaniard agreed. His signing is expected to be one of the first deals to be rubber stamped and announced in the coming weeks. Those early negotiations have freed up Arsenal's recruitment team, including new sporting director Andrea Berta, to line up an elite number 9, a position they desperately need to strengthen. Now, if words had meaning in isolation and words rang true, this is what you want to hear as an Arsenal fan. Apparently, Mikel Arteta is desperate to get big names over the line early in the window, one that has been split in two by the Club World Cup, in order to give him the best possible pre-season with a fresh-faced squad before heading to Singapore and Hong Kong in mid-July. You know, you've got a World Cup year, so that might impact players moving or staying put. Obviously, the window opens and then closes to allow clubs, especially if you're Real Madrid with Trent, for example, and Housen. See, I said Housen, no longer Housen, in it, people. Allows you to get signings in for this Club World Cup, and then obviously it closes and it opens again. And I don't want to go off topic, but player welfare is in the bin, innit? You look at the amount of football a lot of these players of all clubs have played for club and country in tournaments. You look at the pre-season schedule, you look at how expanded competitions now, where Champions League is concerned, the Club World Cup is expanded. A lot of these players will be going into the, not us, but the Club World Cup off the back of a season or seasons of a lot of football. But before you know it, they've got to go back in for pre-season. Then you've got a World Cup next year. It's only going to get worse and worse. And player welfare is on the floor. That's why I think in this day and age where not us fans don't get the money unless you've had a good day in the bookies or the betting shop, if you don't know what I'm referring to. The clubs get money. The people that of all levels get money. Owners get money. If anyone deserves the riches, I still maintain it's the players. And realistically, the players are earning peanuts in comparison to everything. Like, you look at what's a crazy, I don't know why I keep thinking this, but 300 grand a week. I would love that. Our club's not paying a man 300k a week if they're not essentially making pennies. If they're not making pounds on those pennies. But I'm diversing. Gyökeres is looking more and more likely to be one of those names, with Arsenal hoping to secure the Swedish international for between 60 and 70 million, and the Portuguese club not wanting this saga to drag on into the summer. They want their money. They want to get their replacement. They want to keep it moving. Gyökeres is ready for a change of scenery after a 2-season spell that has seen him net to 95 goals in 100 appearances in all comps. Arsenal realised what a unique opportunity this is. A player in his prime with such a good goal-scoring record for a fee that could be considered a huge bargain compared to the 100-plus demands for Isak. And also, where you look at the Sesko thing, Gyökeres could be a lot cheaper. There's obviously pluses and negatives, and you can compare and whatnot. Isak would be number one. We all know that's a myth. The less of that, the better. Apparently, United are unlikely to convince Gyökeres to reunite with Ruben Amorim, even if they win the Europa League, which obviously they're going to champs. While Barcelona have opted to wait until Robert Lewandowski is out of contract next summer before signing top target Julian Alvarez from Madrid. Sesko remains an option, having scouted him a lot when considering a January move for the Slovenian, but there remains concerns the 21-year-old from Red Bull Leipzig is still a few years off his best. I still maintain I think Sesko will be a very good striker, and I'd be happy with Gyökeres or Sesko. Yeah, longevity, tomorrow, all of that. But if he was pressing me for an answer, I want Gyökeres, because I just think he's 26, which is young-ish. Not exactly old. He's ready right now, and I think as much as I think as a football club, and especially as fans, we focus a lot about the past, where we come from. We're always focusing about the future. Sometimes you need to seize the present moment, and I don't know how many opportunities have gone and how many will come, but we had an opportunity to get to a Champions League final. We didn't do that. Numerous opportunities where the domestic cup competitions are. We never done that. And the Premier League, this year being the worst feeble attempt at pursuing the Premier League title, more so positively the last 2 years. Either way, we haven't. Different reasons, different contexts, all of that stuff. The bottom line is we haven't etched our name in anything with history, and I want that to change in some capacity next season. Nico Williams is still linked with us, people. Imagine that as our starting 11. Raya, Lewis Skelly, Saliba, Gabriel, Magalhaes, Timber, Zubamendi, Odegaard, Rice, Bukayo Saka, Gyökeres, and Nico Williams. And we still need a bigger squad. Arteta, better yet, would love to sign Nico Williams and bring him through the door with a 50 million release clause, but hefty wage demands. He's aware of Arsenal managers' plans and visions for him, with head-turning attempts being made. Sun Sport understands Barca have tasked Yamal with secret scouting duties to try to convince him. Fair enough. Do you need any convincing to sign for Barcelona, if I'm honest, beyond the fact that your friend's there? Ademola Lookman, would you lot have him? Smash the like button. Are you lot with him? Apparently, he's got admirers at the Emirates. I mean, we battered Real Madrid. He turned up against Real Madrid. He scored a hat-trick in the final. I know he plays for Nigeria and he's of Nigerian heritage, but he is English. And yeah, at the end of the day, he's been a professional footballer. But I think for me, with Ademola Lookman, I look at him best at his time with Charlton. I don't think people forget that he was at Fulham and Everton, and that if anything, he's built his name away from the country where his career began, essentially. He went to Leipzig. He's doing his thing at Atalanta. There's defo another team. I'm sure there's another team I'm missing out. Maybe he wants to return home. Apparently, there are some hesitations over any move for him. But you look at half of these players we've been linked with, yeah. There's a hesitation over all of them. Wage demands for Nico Williams. We're not signing Isak, but the numerous fees that will be required to get Isak. right? We even hear, even though Gyökeres, Berta's convinced and all of these things, and there must be some people convinced, but we also hear there's some concerns about Gyökeres. We've heard that about Sesko now. The language around Sesko is now starting to change in that regard. And Lookman, my point being, no matter how much due diligence and whatnot, there's always going to be some risk. And football's a fickle game, but it's also a complicated one, but it's also simple. At the end of the day, if you sign these players and they go on the pitch and they do well, great, no one cares. If he doesn't, it goes left, people. The 27-year-old's age has some at Arsenal concerned over whether he has hit his ceiling and if that could hinder any future sell-on plans. You see what I'm talking about? But let's move on. He's valued at 50 million. He's also happy, appears to be happy in Italy again following Atalanta's qualification for the Champions League and the third in Serie A. He did miss a penalty for Atalanta, and Gasperini, their manager, drew him out. I mean, that penalty would be known. Everyone remembers for Fulham where he tried the Panenka in it. He's come a long way. His contract expires in 2027, so I have to see. Apparently, Liverpool are also keeping tabs on the situation, people. Something Arsenal are not interested in matching. What does that mean, people? But yeah, we know Nuno Tavares is gone. We've got a sell-on clause and we've got an obligation. Well, they've got an obligation to buy. So if Lazio do sell him, he's still linked with Juventus. There's some money there. And if he moves on, if Aaron Ramsdale moves on from Southampton, there's a sell-on clause. Emi Martinez has been linked with a move away. If Arsenal were doing their due diligence properly, surely there's some element of a sell-on clause there. And there's all other bits and pieces. And, Mika Beref money should still be there as well, people. Following Studgrass, obviously selling him to Monaco. Big up Wanyeri. There's no need to panic over Wanyeri, who's officially now been promoted to the first team along with Miles Lewis-Skelly. Pete O'Rourke said talks are advancing between Arsenal and Gyökeres' reps. He's emerging as the number one choice, and it seems there's a willingness from all parties to get the deal done. The player is happy to come, and Sporting are happy to sell for just over 60 million. So we'll have to see how that goes. Allegedly, we're back in the race for Leroy Sané. In recent weeks, Sané has been frequently linked with a return to the Premier League. Arsenal hold a long-standing interest, with Mikel Arteta still having a great relationship with the former Man City winger. According to the German outlet, the Gunners are now firmly back in the race. That's because there's to and fro in where his contract's concerned. It seemed like he was going to leave, then it seemed like they came to a conclusion. Now it seems like he's going to be a free agent. And he's been linked with the Middle East, with Man United, with Chelsea, with Newcastle United, with Arsenal, actually still staying at Bayern Munich, and several other things, people. Chelsea, if I haven't made that clear, it's an easy one to link us with. Now, apparently Arsenal have a 9-man transfer shortlist, people. Let's see the names. Well, can we assume Isaac's one? He's very unlikely to join Arsenal. Like, I've described it as impossible. If you want to describe it as improbable, smash the like button and great stuff. But yeah, people, who have we been linked with? Isaac's name's been dropped. Gyökeres, Sesko, Watkins, Hugo Ekitike, João Pedro make up 6 alleged striker targets. The club have identified Nico Williams, Rodrigo, and Jamie Gittins as possible options. Apparently, Arsenal are currently prioritizing moves for Gyökeres and Williams. However, with new sporting director Andrea Berta, a huge fan of the former in particular. So yeah, man, hopefully we get these things done. We're still linked with João Pedro. Us, Liverpool, and Chelsea are set to go at it. 3 teams that were in the race for Dean Howson, and it never happened, did it, people? Again, Arsenal are determined to finalize a deal for Gyökeres, and they've received a major update regarding their pursuit. Apparently, there'll be fresh talks with Sporting after the Portuguese Cup final against Benfica on the 25th of May, which is next week. Apparently, an Arsenal rep will be in attendance to watch Gyökeres in action. Sporting have stipulated that the vast majority of Gyökeres' potential transfer fee must be paid within 2 years, a condition that could pose a stumbling block, people, or possible one. Apparently, Gyökeres will not engage in any disputes over the payment structure due to his relationship with Sporting and his appreciation for the club. I think that means Gyökeres' agent, because I very much doubt Gyökeres is going to be in that level, that form of the negotiations. Arsenal will therefore be required to agree to Sporting's terms, or they risk someone else finalizing a deal for Gyökeres under their nose. 52 goals in 50 appearances in all comps for Sporting so far this season. 95 goals in 100-odd games. The guy's doing ridiculous stuff. I don't think he's going to get... I hope he does. I hope he gets better. But I don't think he's going to get them crazy numbers in the Premier League. But even if that's half, we're all on that. I think we've gone over this, people, the 9-man shortlist. It makes for a great headline, doesn't it? You must admit, people. Jakub Kiwior. Apparently, Napoli are looking at Arsenal's Jakub Kiwior, having failed to sign him in the winter market. They are allegedly prioritizing a new centre-back. And obviously, Kivior needs football. His stock has risen because he's getting football. He made his name in Italy. He's still linked with Italian names. There's an element of Arsenal probably selling players. Is there legit interest from Napoli or anyone in Kivior, or is this kind of paper talk? And would you lot sell Kivior? Because I would want him to stay in terms of depth. But if the player wants to go and he's one that could fetch a decent fee, and his stock arguably hasn't been any higher than it probably is at this moment in time in an Arsenal shirt because of the games he's been playing, do you pull the trigger? I don't know, people. But apparently, his agent has been approached by multiple clubs. AC Milan have also been name dropped here as well. Apparently, we refused to let him join Napoli on loan with an option to buy in January. Apparently, this is pointed out by the newspaper who state the Portuguese club, sorry, the Premier League club, are now asking for 35 million. So what's that? 35 million euros. That's about, what's that, about 28, 29 million quid? I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, once again, Sané's been offered to Premier League clubs. And again, Arsenal, Chelsea, Spurs, United, Newcastle have been linked. I mean, same Premier League giants, fair enough. Newcastle, big clubs, seen them win trophies. Arsenal, Chelsea, the same. Man United, the same. Even if they win, Spurs, really. Marseille have apparently also been linked with him, people, which would be interesting. Again, if, you know, the to and fro-in is coming now, people. Martinez seems quite emotional where Aston Villa is concerned. He's been linked with a move to Saudi? Does he go and get paid? Does he want to go and play for respectfully to Villa, a bigger club? Mr. Garcia is being linked with everybody, people. So you can include in Aston Villa, so you can understand the merry-go-round and how that could pose a threat to any Arsenal's potential plans. Mikel Arteta says Arsenal may have to break transfer budget in striker pursuit. Specifically, what did he say, man? Pardon me. The thing is that the budget is like when you have your wedding, you plan your wedding with your wife and you give her a budget and never less, and it's always more. Women, eh? Big up the galley. When you build a house, it's always more true. Normally, this happens and you prepare for different scenarios. Then unfortunate things happen. Sometimes we want a player, suddenly we have an injury, or that player gets injured. There's so many variables that can happen, but there's a budget. There's always an idea of what we can do, what we can improve, what priorities are going to be, and then let's see if we can do it. Fair play, people. And then what else has he said? Well, if that happens, that means that we cannot explain ourselves well enough and we're not clear enough on what we want. I guarantee you that hasn't happened. It didn't happen in 5.5 years with Edu, and I guarantee you it hasn't happened with Andrea. We have learned a lot, and some of them in brackets transfers have worked really well and others have not. So we have to make sure that we make the right calls, but we're all human beings, and unfortunately, nobody has a crystal ball here. He definitely saw me on TalkSport saying I ain't got a crystal ball. But Andrea is someone who is very driven, very clear in his ideas, in his vision, and how we want to achieve it. I mean, in Berta, we trust. Again, it'd be nice to see Kai Havertz. Apparently, he's broken some records or something in the gym, and you would have seen him at the Emirates in terms of open training. We are still linked with the right back of Flamengo, people, the Brazilian Wesley, like a lot of clubs, City, United, several European teams. Apparently, a bid of 35 million is going to fall short. They want 45 million for him, so we'll have to see. He's made over 100 appearances for his club in 2 years. Apparently, he's known for his ability to contribute in attack and for his tenacious defending. The 21-year-old has quickly risen to prominence and attracted attention from top clubs in addition to Arsenal, Manchester United, Manchester City, Inter Milan, Juventus, and Barcelona. So we'll have to see. I don't know how much a right back per se figures on our priorities. I don't know. Some of you like Alex Buena, people. He's actually apparently, if you agree with reports, apparently he's agreed a deal to go and join Atletico Madrid. So you can forget about him. Apparently, our priorities will be to sign off on the Zubamendi deal and then sign a left-sided attacker and centre forward. Apparently, there's potential for another centre mid to come in, as well as a central defender or left back, depending on how the market opens up in June and July. I think I covered it yesterday, but some reports came out that regardless whether Kivior stays or goes, we'll be looking to sign a centre back. So I'm not sure what that means. We are linked with left backs. Apparently, Man United and Chelsea are both interested in AC Milan's Theo Hernandez. Is that something we should be getting involved with, people? Let me know. Allegedly, Arsenal have rekindled their interest in Botafogo's Igor Jesus for the summer window. We were linked with the 24-year-old. Apparently, we tried to sign him on loan with an option to buy, but the deal was blocked. I can't see that happening. I mean, not being funny, 24 years of age, Spent 4 years in Saudi, playing in the Brazilian league with the greatest of respect. Is he levels? I don't know. According to a report, Arsenal have not only restarted discussions, but have also made an offer in recent days. The fee proposed hasn't been mentioned, but their strategy would be to sign him for less than his release clause. Botafogo haven't confirmed any offer from North London and insist his agent has not notified them of a proposal. Jesus expects to receive approaches from other clubs, but now Arsenal, the only club officially interested in him. He mainly operates up front, but can be used on both wings. Arsenal have been working on signing Gyökeres. It's unclear if they will still try to sign Jesus if they were to secure the Swedes' services, people. We're still linked with João Pedro, as discussed. In relation to Garcia, Ryan Taylor of, I believe, the Evening Standard has said, Arsenal remain firm admirers of Garcia, but internally, Berta is understood to be skeptical about paying a sizable cash for a goalkeeper that is likely to remain second choice to David Raya. Garcia himself is said to be confident that he'd be able to displace any keeper in world football, as he has strong ambitions to become one of the best of his craft. The noises from those close to Garcia currently indicate his future will not be decided imminently. Though things could move quickly at the end of the season when there is clarity on the figure of his release clause. I think, you know what, it's not a priority in goal per se, but I actually think we'll come to regret not signing this guy, if I'm honest with you. And I'm not saying that to be doom and gloom. I actually think he's quite a decent keeper, man. Arteta would love to sign Alexander Isak, and there's belief the player would be interested in the move. Any deal is nevertheless seen as impossible. There you have it.
Always like